Hello my friends, bonjour les amis. As some of you know, the day before, Anthropic has announced that they would imply watermark on the text generated using this AI. So this invited lots of discussion over the social. Let me give you my perspective, my way of connecting the dots around this question. So I'll start by saying that the problem here is about bringing into the light the very fact of using AI generation in text. So if previously some of us could do it secretly and use it as a secret weapon against competitors and customers as well, now, at least in Europe, people would be obliged to disclose. And the greatest question is how the consumers will react. So as a rule, this reaction is supposed to be negative. So let's have several ways of connecting the dots. What can be perspective of this decision, timing, and overall implication? First perspective, most evident one, is that the EU AI Act, legislation of European Union about the artificial intelligence that partly has come into force on August right now. So this would require the companies that are either providers or integrators of AI or even users, anyone who's doing any kind of job processing of content through AI needs to mark the text as being processed by AI. This is to say, simple badge, AI generated, AI edited, and so on. The exact wording is not clear as yet, so the AI regulators are apparently, as always, and they've been a little late over the schedule, so they are yet to prepare the formulation, but the overall idea is that the badge has to be in place. And now that this needs to be actually enforced, they are requiring master keys from the AI providers like Anthropic in order to actually verify the AI infringement and to have a rightful stance to impose those fines. And the fines are significant, 15 millions in cash and 3% of turnover. Voila. So this is the master key perspective. We need something to be able to enforce our ruling, and therefore the very giants will need to give us this master key. The second perspective is that Anthropic, ChatGPT, and other providers has long been tackling with the problem of overabundance of the AI content, for example in search, or as an impediment to learning, because you would not normally learn on AI generated text. So this is a time which coincides with AI regulation in Europe, which invites the solution. Let's then mark in the first place and segregate the original from generated content in order to be able to proceed from here and easily discern in order to learn or train the machines on the proper content. This is the second way to connect the dots and obviously to take use of the moment. And the third way is one that relates SEO or search traffic in general, is that Google is a participant or shareholder, if you like, in Anthropic and other. This is to say, they might get access to this master case and then try to segregate the AI generated from original content themselves for the sake of their own purposes. This is to say, to try to affect things generated somehow in the search with a view to possibly then say possibly prefer or favorize, for example, human-generated content. So let's call this perspective a way to redress the balance from the 2 years back when things started getting really worse and there was a flood of this generated content. Now, possibly the third way of connecting the dots is Google would try to redress the balance and try to pessimize, for example, AI-generated content. From these three perspectives, let's then proceed to the implications of it. First is that what strikes me is that recently SEO has been bad news. The traffic from search mostly fallen with players, major companies. So year over year, if you see balance sheets, if you see internal, the companies are really stressed about year over year traffic decline. And as a channel is low in terms of investment analysis. So it's hard to now say this time we invest and that's our return. Actually, this ratio is getting worse. Then what further exacerbates this problem is a attribution. So we have fallen traffic, we have pessimistic investment sentiment, and also we have attribution. We cannot tell what kind of traffic brings what kind of returns. This problem is getting worse day by day also. Finally, AI overviews and some things on search bring it to what's called zero-click web, which is to say most of the biggest amount of clicks come or stay in Google and less come to the companies, which affects mostly the publishers, but also every other kind of company. And finally, AI assistants, the big promises that have been given, the big expectations, but right now they are not actually performing up to this expectation. This creates what I call bad news sentiment. And in this kind of sentiment, there comes a apprehension that obviously there's no good alternative at sight. AI assistants are still only tiny fraction of search, tiny fraction of sales and traffic, voila. But on a psychology part, if say SEO agency comes and says, voila, the regulator imposes requirements on marking down the content, this will entail additional costs to at least discern internally which content is which and then to mark up. This is a part of this bad news. Say no evident perspective of the revenue, but obviously lots of costs will incur costs. Then this evokes what I call the great doubt idea. Every kind of news like this and every kind of request from your consultant, SEO agency, or your internal team evokes the doubt that's inherent in many financial officers or C-levels that SEO mean that the overall AI bubble may be bursting someday. This is to say, we will not gonna pay back our investment in time and efforts. And this is getting evident once you understand that you need to mark up all this AI-generated content that's been published on the websites, white papers, whatever. So the next step, which is expected from here, is that probably we need to roll back, dismantle all the stuff we've been creating over the last 2 years. This is hundreds of thousands of URLs for many companies. And then obviously it's probably, in my expectation, is about 1/3 of the whole internet over the 2 years. This is the great doubt which comes in saying we need to close the project of AI generated content for good, and this will be a huge cut of costs. And that's obviously translated into the idea of the market share, which is the whole market that's been created of AI services, AI content, and so on. So it will be great revolution and changes. And to some, at least in B2B and other reputation sensitive sectors, this will be huge reputation risks, reputation under attack, because in these sensitive sectors, once you put a page generated with a AI generator or whatever the formulation you use, it will put you in the light that you are probably not that smart as you wanted to look. And let's now ask a question: why exactly this now becomes a problem? And the first thing is, this is a problem in the light of a customer sentiment. The customer, as they say, as we now get the information, mostly have mixed sentiment or mostly bad feeling about AI content. We can say at home in their private lives, everybody say we hate AI. But when we come to work, we are all in favor of it. It's an anecdote, but anyway, customer sentiment towards AI is mostly pessimistic. This means once you put a badge over your content, you will probably lose to your competitor that hasn't got this badge, or which is worse, had a badge which is yet to produce, but not that hard to imagine, made without AI. That's put you on a different sides of this border, new borderline, someone who's doing with AI and without AI. This is potentially create huge shocks over the market, especially in B2B sphere. And this is a risk factor that's obviously beyond control. And what's bad about it is that this factor is compounding as the AI adoption goes on, as the AI poses a risk to working force, to workplaces. So as we go, we compound this risk, and this risk plays against the first one, the pioneers that tried to play with AI, generate some content, put it online, and so this will be a fine punishment to the pioneers, to those who believed in it in the first place. And now they have to get rid of it, put pages, or withstand a risk of actual fines. Now, the technical giants perspective. Many understand that the gatekeepers, the largest companies in this market, has put lots of money, investments in the AI. They don't want to easily give it away. But still, the influx of low quality, unauthentic content puts a peril to the work, to the way they train the models, and this is now scarcity of authentic information, authentic works, especially now when the publishers are closing down the access to the publication. So we are now in a moment of a division, of a great risk about how the AI training will go on, because at least half of the content is then already AI generated. We are now in the moment of truth. And the idea is that obviously what may counterbalance or what may stabilize these two opposing views, customers who are against AI, the tech giants who also kind of fear that the influx is playing against them. The giants has put a lot of investment there, so they want to avoid at all costs. They want to avoid something that they think may undermine the market perspectives of AI at all. So this is to say they will be slow and very cautious about these movements, and not to hurt intentionally, unintentionally, the overall interest in this thing. And this brings us to the very decisive point: what exercises the largest pressure? What moves the process of these latest changes? This is the AI regulation in European Union. This is to say, European Union is now, ironically, a driving force of these changes, because now that Anthropic has published their preparing to put a watermark, they are not preparing to do it only in Europe, but also worldwide. So what I predict will happen next and what can be useful for you as a practitioners or managers. First, I predict that the European regulation will be finalized quite soon. They will give concrete guidance as how to mark, and some of the explainers will follow up. Then AI regulation in Europe will be spread, and they will pour into the national regulations, for example, in France, in Germany, and so on, not only on EU level, but also on the national level as well. Obviously, the fines and sanctions, I think, will follow. So they will be gradually applied to the international players, to the larger company, not the smaller ones, just in order to showcase that we are serious. The EU is serious about this. The most interesting thing is that consumer reaction to AI-generated badge, I think, at least in the beginning, will be highly negative. And this will be a reaction to kind of slop. So if they see a badge, they will not pay great attention to the content. So this is another step. The first was SEO content, which is a given name or metaphor for something that's useless. Now, on top of the SEO content, we have the AI-generated, say, SEO content. This is something that was not worth reading at all. So this will have a highly negative effect on the B2B market, especially because on the marketplaces or e-commerce, no one will actually read this content. Even if it was AI manipulated, someone or people can easily understand, or we'll get some data for the sneakers, how to, for example, combine them, when to expect delivery and so on. This is not that important. But in the reputation built businesses, this is a huge importance. Now, so we said trust is a trust industries that will be the biggest or the most affected ones. And this mixed or bad sentiment, as well as the reputation risk, will exercise a constant pressure on the market participants, and this will translate to the questions whether we cheat and don't mark at all, or we take the risk. I say whether we cheat and take the risk, or we then put a badge and take another kind of risk. This is to say consumer risk. So there's no kind of easy, good solution. I already hear these voices, let's kind of move to ChatGPT and then use this content. But obviously it's only a matter of time, and ChatGPT will be doing the same stuff. Nothing can be done about it. It's just a matter of months, probably. So it comes to answering the question, who will be caught first? What is the right workflow with AI? Shall we use it only to automate and do the internal analysis to automate code making and not use on the content creation, or maybe tolerate the consumer-facing risks? The third question is that why consumers, after all, are so bad, have so much bad feeling about AI in private, whereas in the professional setting, they are all in favor of AI. And then the rights or human rights question is that obviously people or businesses have to know, in the civil relations, everybody has to know who is that? Who is this guy? Is he the one he assumes or pretends to be, or maybe part was created artificially, and so on. So this, in the very end, poses the big question. Maybe it's a secret feeling about AI. So maybe to this point, people would use it as a way to gain a secret advantage or edge over the counterparts. And now they feel like they want to take it away. Tech giants will still use AI, obviously, whereas everybody else would not. And the governance, they want to regulate it all. So it's a damn European Union. And the people have got this AI sentiment. We need to secretly use it. And now this toy has been gradually taken away by the big guys who would still use it, and the government who say, okay, let's put a taxation on it. There's a frustrated feeling that's all over the markets right now. But this is for you to decide how you would act upon this AI disclosure requirements in the European Union, whether you would tolerate the risks or would comply, and then if you actually use AI to generate content, you will see the implication on it in your buying behavior. If you want to talk about it, or you have a problem that you think you want to discuss with me, please don't hesitate. You can find my contact beneath this video or search for my website Nertis. I thank you all for watching. Hope it was instructive. Thanks. Bye.